click this over to Facebook, and then we'll be good to go. It's so funny oftentimes when I say, okay, we're going to go live, and then there's such great conversation ahead of actually being broadcasting, and then everyone goes silent.
Well, we don't want to disturb your concentration.
That's a good one. Haven't heard that one yet.
Everyone's going to steal that line now.
Righty, let's get the chat up and the attendees. See a lot of our usual people who like to watch. That's great. Oops.
So can we see the chat too, or you're just seeing it?
Yeah, you can see the chat. If you go to the bottom, you can click on the chat and it'll put it over to the left side. You can click on attendees and yeah, absolutely. You can see.
Ah, it's weird. It's not.
So I'm sure we'll start seeing some people saying hello here any second because they usually do. So, and then over on the Facebook side of things, I'm just going to check on that real quick.
Did you surf this morning, Chris?
I'm sorry?
Did you surf this morning?
No, I didn't. Tomorrow.
How's the wind been?
Down in the mornings. So should be good tomorrow, actually.
Wow.
Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said I'm doing that, huh? I think I was telling people I was doing something different. Thanks, Ron. My wife's watching. Thought you were going to work early.
So Ron, do you surf as well?
I do, yes. Yeah, I'm quite the outdoorsman, mountain biking, cycling, surfing, anything that gets me outside. I just love being outside.
Yeah.
So,
I don't surf, but I like to exercise outside.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not a gym guy. I like to stay fit, but I like to stay fit while dirt's in my face and birds are flying overhead and, you know, wind in my hair or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, I think the best thing about COVID is that all our tastings are outside. I love that. All summer. I mean, even though it was hot, we had some smoky times last summer. It was just great to be outside. Really was.
Even in the wintertime, I love bundling up, putting my hoodie on or my, you know, my beanie, and, you know, I love getting out there and being cold, turning on the heating lamps, and I'm sure nobody else liked it. Oddball that was like, isn't this weather great? It's like 52, man. So I'd go out and I'd be like, hey, it might rain today out here. Staff would be like, yeah, Ron, that's not a good thing.
So true. All right, everyone. Thank you, everyone tuning in. It looks like we've got a few people now over as Facebook has caught up and people have been able to log on. I just saw the notification go through that we were live. So that's usually when I like to try to kick the show off. So welcome everyone to another Paso Wine Hour. I'm Chris Toronto with the Paso Robles Wine Country Alliance. And today we are talking about WineFest. You know, WineFest, and as we were kind of talking about here, just as the show is kicking off, everything's outdoors, but even though WineFest is outdoors, we still don't have the go-ahead to have a really large 3,000 person event in our downtown park. So we're going to be doing some things a little different. We're going to get into that. First, I want to, of course, introduce all of the guests that we have this time around. We've got Jackie Gleason from Four Lanterns Winery. We've got Victoria Schmitt from Volatus and Ron Wannagat from Locatelli Winery. Love to say hello to Jackie. Say hello, Jackie.
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be here.
Awesome. So tell us, Four Lanterns.
Yeah, so Four Lanterns, we're on 46 West. My husband and I started it. We purchased a property in 2013 and then moved here to Paso in 2014. We've got Rhone and Bordeaux varietals, and I am sipping our sparkling Pinot Noir Rosé, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, absolutely. And such an iconic spot too, because that's where I think the old Lone Madrone was there back in the day. That's where, Randall Graham's place, right?
Bonnie Doon was here. Lecuvier started here. There's an interesting history. And then Sycamore Farms, an old organic herb farm, was here too.
That's right. That's right.
The Vineyards.
That's very, very cool. And I know we've had a lot of really great times bringing some groups over there. You have that beautiful terraced vineyard that overlooks Highway 46 west as well. So it's a really Victoria Schmitt from Volatus. You're sitting somewhere new.
We are. This will probably be our first official weekend at our new location. We are at 2985 Anderson Road. We are sharing a winery space, tasting room space with Dark Star Cellars. So we're renting the back space where Brian Benson started out. And we'll have all the front patio and side patio for everybody to enjoy outside as well.
Excellent. Very cool. Very cool.
It's
And we'll
pretty
get into a
exciting.
little bit of,
What's that?
go ahead.
I said it's pretty exciting. We just got the paint up on the walls last week, and everything is getting all stocked up, ready to go.
I think we'll take a spin having to see what you're up to.
All right.
This
So,
is,
of course,
everyone,
it
this
is
is how
all kinds of
a
mess.
tasting room is birthed.
There's Natalie, our manager. So there you are.
All right.
We got plenty of seating
Together.
inside, outside, and plenty of wine to drink. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And you'll be ready to go and open on by Winefest weekend.
We'll be ready to go tomorrow, but yes,
Oh.
Winefest weekend as well.
Okay, excellent. Ron Wannagat, Locatelli Winery. Ron, I've seen you in other places as well, but now you're over at Locatelli. You've been there for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Locatelli.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I've been in the industry pretty long. I know you know. I've hopped from rock to rock, and I think I finally got across the river. But yeah, I'm having a good time over here working with Raynette Gregory and Louis Gregory. Raynette, first of all, let me apologize. Raynette was supposed to be here. She couldn't make it. She's extremely busy. She's got bottling as we speak, like right behind this wall. There's like 8 people bottling on our mobile bottling or our on-site bottling line, bottling wine for another winery in the area. So she's there supervising that on top of county inspectors who are constantly coming by to inspect the new building. We've got a 9,000 square foot building we're constructing, which is due to be open on June 1st. So there's that, and then there's constant contractors that are just coming and going all day long. But yeah, Locatelli Winery, love to be here. We've got 40 acres planted, total of 100 acres here on the property. And right now I am drinking the Luna Piena, which is a Merlot and Petit Verdot blend. And all the grapes are grown right here on the property.
Cool. Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, Ron. And so we'll get into a little bit more of the Locatelli story and your background as well as we go along. So as I had mentioned earlier, Winefest is looking a little different this year. Now, last year, of course, it was early on where we realized it's just not going to happen. We actually last year even postponed Winefest saying, oh, well, we'll still be able to do a 3,000 person event in the fall. That should be fine by then. No. So we had to cancel that in October then, and basically just say, let's just wait it out and let's see what happens in 2021. Here we are. And knowing we don't have the okay, but it's looking like it's getting close anyway, that some events are going to start happening as all kinds of different new things are coming down from the CDC and from the state and all over the place. And so, you know, we're 2022, I'm sure we're going to be back in the park and doing all of the fun things that we do. But until then, what we're doing this time around is we're still promoting that you can come to Paso and have a really great event, or at least an experience, and enjoy Paso for Winefest. It's just the individual events, which we do anyway. We're always actually promoting the fact that our wineries are all doing something individual while surrounding, of course, our big marquee series of events with dinners and excursions and different tastings in the park and all of that. So I've invited these three to come on, these three wineries to come on and talk a little bit about what they're doing, each of them doing something completely different than one another. So it's almost like an example of some of the things that are happening out there. With Jackie and Four Lanterns, you know, they have this really cool concert series. The grounds that they have are awesome. They have this natural setting, this park setting, where they can have live music outdoors as it is anyway. already spread out seating as it is, than even pre-COVID times. But now the concert series, I think, is coming back. Isn't that right, Jackie?
It is. That starts up Memorial Day weekend. And then we do it on Sunday. It's Sunday evenings from 5 to 7:30. And that's usually fun. So we're going to be able to have a few more people this year than we started off last year. But for Paso, for Winefest weekend, we're actually doing a couple of fun events. So music is involved. Friday night, we're doing a build your own case club, bringing out some library wines, some reserve wines, and then some last vintage wines. And then Saturday, we have Dulcie Taylor Band. She is an amazing performer. And then we've got a food truck out there too. And then Sunday, we're doing a Creole Southern brunch with Miss Odette. And then Emily Schmitt is playing music all afternoon. So
how do you find the artists? I mean, how do you do that? Because you always seem to have artists that are different than everybody else in town.
Yeah, I get a lot of, so we have some big music fans who are wine club members, and I get tips from them. I look to see what other, bands who like other bands, so I love Bear Market Right, and I see who they're following, who they like. And so you kind of just go down that rabbit trail, and I always listen to them, of course. We do get a lot of bands that come and request to play with us, but our spaces fill up pretty quickly.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I'm on Rec Foundation for the city of Paso, and it is interesting to see bands come knocking on your door and saying, hey, I really want to play that. But to play at Four Lanterns, that seems like it would be just a really, really neat, almost feather in the cap. The setting is so incredible, and the wine's great too.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. We love, our staff loves it, our wine club members love it, the community loves it. And what I love about Sunday evenings is it's such a good community builder. We get locals who come out every single Sunday, and it's really fun. We get to go around at the end of that, always Labor Day weekend. People are like, why are you stopping? We love this. But, it's a lot of work, but it's fun.
Yeah. Victoria, I know you guys love in your previous location having outdoor types of events, enjoying music and the like, but you're somewhere new. Are you going to be able to do something like that as well there?
We are. Dark Star has a pretty cool front patio that also has some really nice windbreakers when it's windy, like a day like today. He's got a few bands lined up for the summer, and then we'll also have Soul for Two. Is that right? So Soul for Two on Mayfest Saturday. We're also going to have the food truck. I guess they're an up and coming kind of popular food truck that's out now. So I can't wait to have them through on Saturday. And I believe we have Soul for Two on Sunday as well. So we're going to have a good time for Mayfest weekend, but throughout the summer, we're going to try and have a few acts out, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. But one thing I think that kind of stands out for Dark Star especially, we'll be able to join in on this from time to time, is his Karaoke Fridays. Mm-hmm. Those are starting to get kind of fun because you really find interesting talent, some special talent, and then these little gems that are just like, I've never heard Spanish music like that, or I've never heard 99 Luftballons actually done in German. So it's Fridays are going to be kind of fun as well.
Now I hear you actually get up and belt it out as well.
I don't know who's been lying to you, but I've been known to put one or two glasses back and maybe belt out a little bit of Supertramp from time to time.
And I was just going to say, there's a reason for Supertramp.
There is. So I come from a musical family background. My dad is the drummer of Supertramp. He joined the band in about 1970. And my uncle on my mom's side is the guitar player for Thin Lizzy. Funny fact, they were actually in dueling high school bands starting out. And then they finally joined into the same band before they moved to England.
All right.
So I actually get to have a little fun with naming our wines. What I'm sipping on, which I forgot to say earlier, is our Take the Long Way Home Tempranillo. We just bottled this. It's young, but it's delicious.
Yeah. Clearly. Do you ever have any of your family members come and play or anything like that?
You know, my dad still plays when he can. And he is in a band with my brother, who's also a musician down in Ojai. They have a little surf rock band that they put together called Todd Hannigan and the Heavy 29s. We try to have them out in the fall. We're working on having them out this fall for Harvest Fest as well.
All right. I like how you were referring, Mayfest, because that is actually kind of an old term from way back when, adopted, of course, by Rich Hartenberger over at Midnight Cellars. He loves still calling it Mayfest. I think he actually does it to thumb the nose at the man.
He does that with Zinfest too, I think.
Yeah, he does. But it was like that, and it's been around for, we're going on 38 years or something like that. Locatelli has been around for quite some time. And so Ron, tell us a little bit about Locatelli. What are you guys going to be doing this coming Winefest weekend? I almost said Mayfest, because that's also kind of cool and unusual.
Well, first, let me just start by saying that I still call it Zinfest. And I actually advertised on our website, Zinfest. So yeah, I am one of those guys.
Change that name, everyone. Really, I really am. I apologize.
I'm a rebel.
I can include other wines too, but it'll always be Zinfest.
That was the idea originally. Anyway.
Well, in answer to your question, so yeah, Louis and Raynette Gregory, they own the property. They purchased this property back in 1996. And so what a lot of people don't know is there were about 50 wineries back then. And Locatelli has been under the radar since then. I mean, established in 2001, I mean, they've really flown under the radar until I think about the last 2 or 3 years. But we are celebrating our 20th year anniversary, established in 2001. And sorry, got the sales side of me is coming out. This is our new 20th anniversary Magnum that we just are releasing right now. So sorry, Chris, I had to do it. So yeah, 20 years. I mean, so what can I say about Raynette and Gregory? Geez, Raynette and Louis Gregory, man, they're the real deal. Their father, they bought the property in 96. Their father came out here and started disking the property and planting the vines. And then Louis and Raynette, who met in Visalia, California, moved over here and rooted themselves on the property in 2001. And so on the property, they're devoted to the Bordeaux varietals. So very heavy on Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and shoot, I'm probably missing one, but I know we have some Petit Syrah and Zinfandel and Cab Franc. So we do predominantly estate grown and estate bottled, and everything's done here on the property. Yeah, like I said, they're the real deal. Sometimes I'll say, hey, there's a leak out in the field, and Raynette will say, well, maybe I'll just run out there and they'll fix it. I'm like, what, are you freaking crazy? Like, she's real. Like, she's the real deal. I mean, she comes in covered in mud sometimes. It just blows me away. But yeah, she knows how to fix electrical. She's she's a dynamo. She's inspiring, to be honest with you. So yeah.
Awesome. And is she the one behind the idea for Winefest of bringing people out and doing a vineyard tour? Because I think you have some sort of was it a motorized vineyard tour, or is it a walking tour?
You know what? That's totally me. That's the fly by wire, spur of the moment surfer dude that was like, hey, let's just go get that big Polaris and put people in it and go drive them around the vineyard. And Raynette looked at me funny for a minute and then said, okay. So basically we've got a 6-seater Polaris, and what I'm going to do is I can fit 5 people in there, but I'm advertising on the website as 4 people at a time. And I'm just going to drive them through our estate vineyards and just kind of show them, educate them on, why the Petit Syrah, why the leaf's a little bit different, or why the clusters are growing faster than that of the Merlot, or, and then just let them ask questions about the soil or the weather, or, do we irrigate, whatever. Just so it's a fun. I think too, it's like COVID. I think spurred me into thinking of something outdoorsy that we could do, like really getting out in nature, because people have been trapped in their homes and like imprisoned in their own homes. I'm like, how can I get people outside? And that popped in my head. That, and I love being outdoors, and it's an excuse for me not to be dealing with all the people. I'm like, oh, another group, I gotta go. Sorry, So that's pretty much it, man. That's it's gonna be fun though.
Yeah, you guys are up in the San Miguel district. Tell us a little bit about what makes that little area unique.
Yeah, I can tell you a couple things. One, I can tell you right out the window, out this window to my right, I see these hills, really large hills. And on the other side of these hills, on Cross Canyons Road, which we're on, right on the other side of these hills I'm looking at right now is Monterey County. So to give you some idea on how far north we are in the Paso Robles AVA, we're just past Estrella. So I can look out the window in front of me and I can actually see downtown San Miguel, if that gives you an idea of where we're located. And the soil it's just a hodgepodge. It's Arbuckle, it's a little bit of calcareous, it's a little bit loamy, it's a little bit, it's just got everything in it. The Arbuckle is pretty amazing though, because after that big storm, we got like 8 inches in like a 24-hour period or 48-hour period. And all the runoffs, all the washouts, I went down and started just grabbing all these amazing rocks. There's just, it uncovered these beds of beautiful rocks. And I threw them in the back of the Polaris and brought them up and put them on the bar. And Raynette walked in and went, "What the hell are you doing?" And, anyway, so yeah, so the soil is just a who's who of what's what. It's everything. It's everything. There's some chalk and loam, but there's some really cool rocks out there too. Yeah.
I decided to throw this up for everybody to see. So here's the Paso AVA map. And so where the Locatelli property, of course, is up here. Here's San Miguel, that they're able to view it. And they're up on a bench over here, over on the east side. Right, you're just on the east side, is that right?
Yep. Right on the other side of, you cross the bridge, you go through San Miguel downtown, and then you cross the bridge, and we're literally right on the other side of the bridge, on top of a ridge there.
Yeah, so really neat place up there. Just definitely one of the furthest north properties in the Paso AVA and of all of the wineries. And while we're here and while we're on the map, we may as well point out that the Four Lanterns property is along Highway 46 here. And what's really interesting about Four Lanterns is the line between Templeton Gap and Willow Creek. So right here where my cursor is, quite literally splits their vineyard. Isn't that right, Jackie? Do I have that correct?
Yeah. I think it's more towards the far right side of that.
Oh, I'm sorry, over here. Yeah.
Yeah, right over there. Yeah, so the house and a little bit of the vineyard that's Viognier is in the Templeton Gap. And then the majority of the rest of the vineyard is in the Willow Creek AVA.
And I've stood on the top of that terrace before, and I've heard Steve talk about the difference. And it's almost like it's like an indent or a dry creek bed almost, that's kind of almost running through your vineyard that happens to be that dividing line, right?
Yeah, yep.
And so ripening actually is different from one side to the other then as well.
Yep.
That's
you
wild.
know more about that stuff than I do. I do know that we have to be really careful down there on that lower part of the hill, because that's where, if we're going to get frost, that's where the frost is.
Yeah. We have a question for you, Jackie. Who planted the Viognier? Was that you or Randall Graham?
Well, it was not necessarily. So it was the Schomlers who owned Sycamore Farms, who owned the property. And they had Randall Graham come in, and he was friends with Chris Kuchar. And Chris Kuchar was the gentleman who they had hired to plant the vineyard. And Chris and Randall were classmates at UC Davis. So Chris brought in Randall. And then I think it was Randall's idea to plant some Viognier. And there's a interesting folklore story, which actually I always thought was folklore, but it was true, that someone whose name is not to be named, went to France, brought back what they thought was Marsanne. It was Marsanne, planted it, sold it, turned out it was more Viognier. So we have a tremendous amount of Viognier, which we're actually taking some out, grafting over what we can, and we're going to plant some other varietals on there because there's a lot of Viognier on our property.
Yeah. Talk a little bit, you have a few of the SKUs behind you. Talk a little bit about the wines that you do make, and then what are you drinking?
So so from this property, this is where our Rhone varietals grow. So we have Viognier, a lot of white Rhone varietals. We have 5 different white Rhone varietals: Claret Blanche, Picpoul Blanc, Uni Blanc, Grenache Blanc. And then for reds, we have Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. And then where we live at home, which is down off Arbor Road, we grow Bordeaux varietals there. So Cab, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and Semillon. I am drinking a Pinot Noir sparkling wine, Pinot Noir Rosé sparkling wine. We actually bought this Pinot Noir from Carol Hoyt. We do custom crush for her, and Stephen really wanted to make a sparkling wine. We have a Viognier sparkling wine in the works from our Viognier. But this is an ode to our sparkling wine brunch that we're having on this Sunday.
Excellent. That's cool. How fun is that? Carol Hoyt, speaking of Carol Hoyt and her property, we're going to be getting her on here one of these days soon. I got to get out and visit her property over there at the end of, I think it's Township, out past Richie's place, I believe.
Yeah, she's right next. She's got a beautiful, beautiful property.
So we got to get her on and maybe do a little bit of a vineyard site visit to capture some imagery, because it's a really pretty place. Victoria, you guys source fruit from a little bit of everywhere.
Let's
talk about that Tempranillo.
The Tempranillo is the Willow Creek district. We get that from Randy over at Red Souls.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we source pretty much in almost every single district. If you if you want to put that back up, it kind of depends on. I mean, we're so small that it's really hard for us to make really large contracts. So we're actually very fortunate that smaller growers will come to us and say, hey, why don't you try some of our stuff? We've got a couple of acres here and there. Do you want a ton? Do you want 2 tons? And so we just kind of pick and choose wherever we think the best flavor is for our blending and the type of oak that he likes to use as well. But,
yeah. I know I've been around. I've seen when Hal all of a sudden is bringing something in that's completely different. It's like, oh,
from?
Where'd that come from?
Oh, it's next to this block and over on, you know where this vineyard is? Well, you go down this road and through here, and then you can find an acre of it.
Yeah, yeah. I am sitting here. Thank you so much, Victoria, being on a little bit of the Charlie, which is 2020 Chardonnay, quite delicious. Where did this come from?
That one's out from Seven Angels Vineyard.
Oh,
so
okay.
What would that be? The Templeton Gap?
Templeton Gap District.
Templeton Gap. We love that Chardonnay, and we kind of just experimented on a couple of barrels to start out with. Turned out to be one of our best-selling wines. So now we're trying to be careful about not changing it too much, buying almost the same amount every year so that we can try and be as consistent as we can be with the amount of oak that he puts on and when we pick it at the bricks. So yeah, it's actually one of our best sellers. We thought we were only going to make one white wine, and that was the Cavu, which is a Viognier Roussanne. And we fell upon this Chardonnay, and we just love it.
Now, some people get a little bit of fruit from Four Lanterns. Isn't that right, Jackie?
Yep, we sell a little bit of Viognier.
Yeah.
Usually,
maybe we need to talk to them about that. Can I get it? All right. Cool.
You getting some coaching, Victoria?
I am all of a sudden. Well, we're trying to rock the baby to sleep, it looks like. So.
Okay. You know, you can have the baby on if you want.
What's that?
So you can have the baby on if you want.
Yeah. I'd rather he just try to fall. Is he awake? Yeah. Well, if he would like to make an appearance.
Oh.
Junior, right?
So Paso.
Yeah, right? Here, hold on.
Hey, Ron, while Vic is working on getting Bear to sleep, tell us a little bit more about the vineyard there. I mean, is it all and going into your estate program, or are you selling some fruit out there as well?
Yeah, we do. We sell a little bit of fruit. We have 12 acres of Petite Syrah. That's plenty more than we need. So if anybody needs any Petite Syrah, um, but yeah, so we sell some of the Petite. We sell some of the Merlot. Again, we have 12 acres of both. So we've got a bit. We've also got a little bit of Cabernet. We've got 12.7 acres of Cabernet. So those are the three biggest vineyards we have. So yeah, we do sell some of our fruit. We rarely, the only fruit we source are like whites, Chardonnays, and the whites we do.
And are you in distribution at all?
Zero. Yeah, if you want our wine, you got to come here or go onto our website and order, which the web sales, I'm sure everybody's going to say the same thing, but our web sales are, since COVID, our web sales are through the roof. My job here during COVID, I think, was more of the shipping manager than anything else. I literally would come in and there would be scores of emails like that. I'd come in, there'd be like 80 emails, and I'd say half of those were orders. So, I mean, thank God for, our website and online ordering, because man, all I was doing was packing boxes and shipping stuff.
One of our audience members, Mark Bear, he has a property over at Ranchita Canyon, says he wants to come over and visit Locatelli soon, but he's curious how many club members you have.
Well, right now I think we're at 480. We kind of hover around, lately we've been hovering around between 460 and 480. But we're slowly, this year, we're incrementally inching along. But I mean, when I say inching, probably mean millimeters. I mean, we're growing, but it's at a very, very steady, slow pace, baby steps.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about where you are in San Miguel, being that it's a little removed from town. I mean, what is traffic like? Is it really club members going? Are you finding people kind of discovering you? What's that like out there?
Yeah, I would say our club members drive most of our business. But that being said, when we do get a club member, more than any other winery, which I've seen a lot of this industry in the last 25 years of my life. So I've never seen more loyal wine club members than here at Locatelli. We have a different clientele, I think. We have more of the people with money that want a pickup truck and horses, not the people with money that want the penthouse suite in New York. They're a different breed. They're like, man, I just spent $100,000 on 2 horses this year. And most people would be like, what are you, insane? You could have bought like all these other things. You could have bought that car. You could have bought it. But we get the cool people, the people that are like me. And I think that's why I gel really well here with Raynette and Louis, because I'm very like-minded. I went and bought myself like a ridiculously expensive pickup truck. So, I fit in perfect. So, wine club is growing steadily. And we have some loyal people. We do get some outsiders, but what I hear mostly from the outsiders is, hey, we were on our way out of town, heading up to Monterey, and you were the last winery on the list, so we thought we'd come in. And then vice versa, hey, we were coming down from San Francisco, and you were the first winery on our list. So we're literally right after Monterey County, like we're over the border. We're like the first winery you're going to hit going across the border.
Yeah. Is that somewhere near the Pianetta property, or is that further inland? Or
no, that's a little further away from us.
Okay.
Trying to think who'd be closer to us. Like Villa San Juliet's not far down the road from us.
Okay.
Graveyard, some of those guys.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say that I haven't been out there yet, and so I do need to make that right and head out there one of these days soon.
Dude. It's a unique experience being out here. We are pretty remote, but we're country folk out here. We're very country folk out here, for sure. Aside from chewing tobacco, I'm pretty country, And so
Yeah.
it's Raynette and Louie. So.
And going from country folk to going from and very close to my own background, thinking back on at a point in time, Jackie, you and Steve were living in Orange County. And if I recall correctly, at some point in time over different periods of time, I think we lived in the same town. Was it Laguna Niguel or maybe it was Mission Viejo or something like that?
Yeah, we were in Laguna Niguel.
Laguna Niguel. What attracted you to Paso? What made you come up here and all of a sudden decide to get into the wine industry in Paso?
Yeah. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to you, Ron. When we first opened our tasting room back in 2014, we had a series of people that came through and loved your winery. So I've always, I'm so happy to find out more about it. But yeah, you do have absolutely dedicated wine club members.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
I mean, the loss versus the gain, we're always gaining and we're not losing. So it's nice. We have some loyal people in our group.
Yeah, yep. I remember it's like, where is this? And they had to explain it to me, and I was not very familiar with the area. But you know, Chris, we started coming up here when we lived in Chicago. So Stephen, your brother John, has had a property up here just beyond York Mountain off of Santa Rosa Creek Road. And we would all look how cute.
Sorry. Sorry.
So cute.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
So cute. Okay, I'm not gonna have any audience. Everyone look at the baby. Tell me.
He likes to stand right now. So.
Stealing the show.
Sorry.
That's good. He is adorable. But anyway, so we would come up and visit John, and kind of, I can remember shortly after we were married, we came up, and I think the only place we could go to was York Mountain and Justin. And Justin felt like it was in the middle of nowhere, so far out, like, you know. And then, so that was back in, when did we get married? 93. And then we just kept visiting. We lived in Chicago, you know, outside of Chicago, and came out and visited John and sort of watched the area grow up. And then we moved to California in 2000 and came up to see John. And then we had, you know, we have 4 daughters. That's why it's called 4 Lanterns. You know, they get to that age where they're super busy doing all the activities, sports, and all kinds of stuff. So we didn't really come to Paso for like a year or two, and came up, and it was dramatically different. And we just, you know, grew to appreciate the area more. And it was time for Stephen to try something different. And I'm so glad that, you know, he found this property. He had showed it to me online numerous times. And the story is true. He came up to see it because he heard the price was going to drop, and called me up and said, this property is amazing, has so much potential. And he said, I think we would have to move here, at least for some time, if it's going to be, you know, if we want to make it into something special. And I was like, all right, go ahead, go for it. And he's like, you haven't even seen this property. And I was like, and I haven't heard you this excited in forever. He was kind of burned out on his job. So it's been, we've never looked back, never looked back.
Right.
So it's just, Paso is such a wonderful community to live in. The people are so welcoming. I can remember when we first opened, somebody was sent down by somebody from Jay Ducey. They're like, yeah, they sent us down from Jay Ducey. They said, you guys are great. You know, and we hadn't even met anybody from Jay Ducey yet, but they were so nice. They were supporting the new guy. And I was like, wow, what a great place we live in. So, and it's been like that ever since, you know. I think Paso is we're all supportive of each other. We all know that we all have to help each other to really succeed as a community. And I love that. I love that.
That's
Amen.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Ron.
I was just saying amen. I agree wholeheartedly. My wife and I sometimes sit back and talk and say, you know, hey, where are we going to retire? You know, we got to find somewhere cool to retire, you know. And then I think one night we were laying in bed after discussing that for like a year. I don't know, Mexico, let's get a little place in Mexico. Oh, maybe we'll go to Canada. I don't know, maybe we'll go here. And then I think we were laying in bed one day and we both just came to the realization that this is a pretty cool place where we live. We're like, I think we're just going to stay here. Like, this is it, babe. Like, I can mountain bike, surf, hike. I'm like, it's all here. And so we agreed. So we're not going anywhere either. Exactly. This is it.
The community spirit was definitely alive with how Volatus started, I would say, in that how Hal, befriended Rich over at Midnight Cellars, and I think from there, that's how the brand was basically established, right, Vic?
Yeah. Hal actually didn't even drink wine before he was coming out here. He was the DD for the military guys over on the base in Lemoore. So he was a fighter pilot in the Navy for about 14 years. And this is how they would spend their vacation time or their weekends, was to come over and wine taste. It's just literally nothing else to do over in the valley. So when he met Rich definitely gave him some grief because he wasn't tasting wine, and said, well, you're an absolute idiot if you don't like this. And he handed him a Cab Franc, I believe it was 1995. And ever since then, Hal's been hooked. So he started learning how to make wine from Rich. I took UC Davis books on him, with him on deployment, and just kind of self-taught any chance he could. And every single harvest since 1998, I think, he was working with Rich. And then in 2005, that's when I was working for Rich in the tasting room. And so that's how we met. But in 2004, that was his first vintage. Just was experimenting on a barrel of Malbec and a barrel of Syrah, and met this little starving artist who helped him with a label. And ever since then, we've just kind of been together, branding aviation and the music. But the military community coming over from Lemoore, that's kind of our family, our bread and butter. And it's almost easy pickings because we give them a good time. They all come over, whether it's in buses or with their families, and we just share wine and share stories. In fact, Hal's very excited here. He kind of wants it to be a little bit more of a ready room vibe here. So he's got his whiteboard setting up. He's got these little model airplanes. So when they do a debrief after a fight, a dog fight, they'll sit there with the planes and they'll show each other how they were flying. So he's got those things on sticks that people can play with. But
there's a reason why Bear, though, was wearing that little Top Gun onesie as well.
It is. So my husband was a two-time Top Gun instructor, and I met him during his second tour of Top Gun. So he would basically be the female character in the Top Gun movie. Without the high heels, though. Usually, anyway.
Wow, I've never heard that. Only you can say that of him. Because if I were to say that, he would crush my windpipe.
Restate that one.
That's awesome.
But it's so nice to be back here at Dark Star because it really is, like you were saying, Jackie, a community feel. We feel like we're just so much more at home now that we're close to midnight. The people on this road in this 46 West area, even Dose Robles down the road, this is our family, and it's nice to be a part of it. And I can't wait to get started and get a little bit more of the party vibe going on in 46 West.
Yeah. So in Anderson Road there, of course, it goes kind of behind Grey Wolf. You've got Tooth and Nail there across the way from where you are. You've got Midnight Cellars, the production facility anyway for Niner. Of course, Niner is the adjacent property on the other side of Grey Wolf. Then Booker and Kaliza there at the end of the road. So it definitely is a little kind of hotbed of winery activity and tasting rooms and really cool experiences for sure, I would say. You guys, we've been talking a lot about what's happening maybe for WineFest, a little bit of your backgrounds and stuff. I'm really curious though, and I think we've had a few people inquire as well, not necessarily in our chat right now, about how have you been able to kind of still work, still keep going, still basically do business during this whole pandemic? I mean, I know it's been challenging. Ron, you were saying you were enjoying that time of still being outdoors and, just getting bundled up and having some of those heat lamps. But, I mean, did you have to get creative in other ways as well in order to kind of basically keep the lights on?
Is that for me? Or
that's for Ron.
Ron.
Oh, sorry. Is this me?
Yep.
Okay. Mostly, I think what we were doing is a lot of social media, reminding people that we had a new release, or sending out emails, maybe running some specials, just constant emails and social media really is what we really relied on mostly.
Do you think that that has elevated, though, the amount of communication, I think, and this is what I'm seeing across the board from all of our wineries, but all of a sudden you're communicating a lot more, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that I do personally, I don't know how many other people do this, but I literally, if there's a problem, I call people. I mean, I literally will just call people, and they're just so blown away that I'm like, hey, I saw that you had a problem on this, and you know what can I do right here? I'm at my computer. How can I fix this? So I think that makes a huge difference. I kind of naturally am that kind of guy. I see a problem and I like to address it quickly and in person. So I don't respond to emails always like I usually do, but sometimes I feel like going the distance, it really makes a huge difference. And our clientele isn't the young hipster generation, so they're more of a mature audience that we have, and I think they truly appreciate the phone ringing and me saying, hey, I saw that we accidentally charged you too much on this bill, and I'm trying to figure out how that happened, but I'm going to reverse it. Like, wow, you called me to tell me you caught a mistake that I didn't see. I'm like, yeah, so I'm going to fix it. Or I'll call people who I know love our let's say someone's a Malbec fan. I know that person. I'll call that person, like, hey, John, it's Ron. Just letting you know the Malbec's almost out, and I know you love it, man. So you want some? And you're like, oh, Ron, that's so cool. You called me. Like, that's so great that you're telling me, yeah, send me a case. And so I think that one-on-one, that personal thing, it goes so much further now in this technological age. Everything's technology, everything's social media, everything is like disconnected. So I think it's so refreshing for our audience to just connect. It's like, whoa, this guy's calling me. What's up with this guy?
I think it's definitely for one thing, it's a wine industry thing in that we develop relationships with our consumers and our customers. I don't want to call out Paso as being that one region that actually, like, Ron does is calls you up. But I think, though, that we do have these real personal relationships with our customers. People really kind of, and as small brands, Jackie, I know you're a pretty small brand. You probably have a really tight connection with a lot of your consumer base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we Ron, I commend you for doing your personal phone calls. I think that's great. I think probably for us, the connection that our tasting room staff has with, especially our returning customers, they'll remember who took really good care of them. We have a great staff, just a really nice group of women and a couple of men. And I think that's really helped us a lot. Just that customer recognition and then treating everybody with respect.
Yeah.
Making them feel like you got to make everybody feel like they are your family. Like if they're not an uncle or a cousin or a brother, in one way or another, you got to make everyone feel like they're related to you somehow, and you're a family member there to help them. It's so key right now, especially with what are we at right now, Chris? 350 bonded wineries? I don't know. I lost track.
200, but yeah.
Okay. Slightly exaggerated.
I mean, there's 350 bonds out there, but there's a lot of duplicates and things like that because you're storing one place and you're vinifying another and things like that. And so if you just looked at numbers, yes, but in actuality, about 200.
But I mean, there's so much competition, as we all know. How do you stay in business? That's how you got to give people that, you got to go that extra distance. You don't want to make that call. Sometimes you don't want to go that extra distance. You don't want to stay late at work to make those extra calls, but you have to. Yeah.
We have a question from over on the Facebook side of things for Victo. Does Volatus support military nonprofit organizations in connection with winemaking?
We've been known to. Definitely contact us. Shoot me an email. Let me know what your nonprofit is. But in the past, we've been a part of the Battle Buddy Foundation. What was the one we just did one in Lemoore, Hanford?
It was anti-human trafficking.
Oh, that was anti-human trafficking, but we're definitely a part of that one too. Wings Over America, we're a part of. I have my assistant over here reminding me all the names.
He's a good assistant.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Keeps me together.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest one that we're a part of is the Battle Buddy Foundation right now. And they're about to do another golf tournament. We've done their great big magnums or 3-liter bottles as their prizes, which is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I think that answers that question. I'm pretty sure, because I wasn't sure in the whole in connection with winemaking. And so maybe we'll get some clarification on that, because maybe there's a place where they were going with that one. Jackie, I want to get back to you though, on that base question about what was keeping the lights on, what was helping you guys continue to do business during this time that things were, well, quiet and shut down.
Yeah, well, I'd say that both are, like, the first time we shut down in that March, we were just doing our wine club shipments, so that helped a lot. And just kind of like what you did, Ron, we offered a discount on purchasing more wines and a discount on shipping, that kind of thing. Definitely social media. I feel like that first shutdown was so, I don't know, I felt like both of the shutdowns were kind of short, and that they came at kind of good times. Like the November one, we're going into the holidays. There's so many things that people are purchasing wines for gifts and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't feel like it was too bad. And we had such I think across the board, everybody, from the time we were able to open up again in late May, early June, so when we had to shut down in November, I would say across the board from everybody I heard that we all had the busiest season. I think people were just so happy to be able to travel and come visit wineries, and so appreciative of the fact that they could do it outside and spend time safely with people. I mean, we did the same thing with we get fire pits, so people could sit around the fire pits, portable fire pits. So that worked really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and at that time, I recall you couldn't go to any hardware store in town and get a fire pit or a fire or a warmer, a heater or anything in town.
Propane, Chris, or propane.
Or propane, that's right, propane. There's a little known fact, everyone watching, you couldn't get propane in town over winter. And so, maybe there's some things to be said about blaming on things on the wineries, but I'll tell you what, I couldn't get propane at home either. And I don't think it was just the wineries, because everybody was hanging out outside over the winter with their portable heaters. Victo, you guys were doing something really cool though, which I went to when we could be outside, even in winter. And I remember Jenny and I were completely bundled up, enjoying pizza. Luckily you had propane for that. But yeah, doing a little bit of a pizza thing out where you were before.
Well, I'm a very lucky woman. I'll just put that out there right now, especially since he's back in the building. Hal is an incredible chef to begin with, and he became, I wouldn't say incredibly obsessed, but I would say shy of obsessed with perfecting the Neapolitan style pizza. He found out about this little pizza oven called the Rock Box. And it's just this little teeny tiny oven, but it gets up to about 900 degrees. And he would experiment on the family, thank goodness, and then the winery on how to perfect the amount of water ratio to flour for the perfect dough. So we would try to do every single Sunday would be Pizza Sunday, purchase a bottle of wine, get a free pizza. So he would just kind of sit out there all Sunday, and everybody would bundle up and eventually walk over to the pizza oven because it was nice and warm.
Exactly. Exactly. And if that is any testament to his style of winemaking, then I would say he's pretty meticulous with how he likes.
An understatement, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, we're getting here at the end of an hour, if you can believe it or not. We're actually just a couple minutes away from being done with the Paso Wine Hour. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out and listening in. I want to, before we give everybody a last little shout out, I want to tell you, tune in next week. Next week, the show is called What the Blanc. And that is going to be all about Blanc wine. So we've got a Grenache Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, as well as a Picpoul Blanc that we're going to be talking about with 3 different producers: Ranchero Cellars, Barton Wine Estate, or Barton Family Wine, and Le Vigne. That we'll be talking a little bit more about what the Blanc, basically. And so tune in for that one. Also, we've got a new podcast out on the Where Wine Takes You. So go to pasowine.com to go check that out and see. Also, our new website, pasowine.com, is just starting to roll out. Go take a look at it. Hopefully it is even more user-friendly than it was before. And of course, our Paso Wine auction is happening online right now until Sunday the 16th. Also, check out what's happening for WineFest. That's going to be next weekend. There's a whole tool in there that you can search by winery, by date, by activity. You'll see what these 4 or 3 producers are doing as well. Let's give you guys one last thing. What's happening next besides WineFest? Do you have any virtual tastings? I know, Vic, you guys are opening. Otherwise, anything else?
We're opening. Hopefully we'll have kind of a grand opening, probably more in June. We're just going to throw a big old party. But again, Karaoke Fridays, come out and enjoy our wine, Dark Star wines. It should be pretty fun.
Awesome. Ron, anything happening? You guys are bottling, you're busy, you've got a new building, you got all kinds of stuff like that, but anything else that we should know about?
Yeah, aside from the production facility that's going up for the main reason of making wine for other wineries as another source of income, we're going to do 2 casitas. Hopefully within the next year or 2, we're going to build. So we're going to rent those out. And then we're looking to graft over some of our vines from some of the Merlot. We're going to graft that over to Sangiovese and Barbera and do a couple of Italian varietals out here. Otherwise, aside from dyeing my beard back to where it was when you and I first met, this was brown when you and I first met. I mean, look at that. So otherwise, that's it, man.
That's what's going on over at Locatelli, everybody. Jackie from 4 Lanterns.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. You had mentioned it earlier, but I'm pretty excited about the music we're having. We're actually going to end up having music Saturdays during our regular hours from 11 to 5. And then our Sunday night concert series. And so you can look at all music events and food trucks are listed on our events page on our website.
And what's that website?
4lanternswinery.com.
Awesome. Locatelli's website is what?
Just locatelli.com. And also, just to let you know, we will be doing live music all weekend, vineyard tours all weekend, and then Blues Famous Butter Burgers all weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Volatus website, please.
Volatus.wine.
.wine. Cool. You got, sorry, you guys got into that early. I want to thank Victoria again. She twisted my arm and said, normally we do a bottle share and everybody take each other's wines. Honestly, you guys, I couldn't get my act together this week with kids in school, and I have a journalist in town. Honestly, just all this other stuff happening. I just couldn't do it. But Vic, she twisted my arm, said, well, come get some wine. I'm also having this little Tanat called Bloody Well Right. It's excellent. And thank you so much for
anytime. We love to share.
So everybody, thank you very much for watching the Paso Wine Hour. Ronnie is branding himself. And cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys. Good to see you.
Cheers.